AskReddit by Innocent Delight. What's the most memorable act of kindness you've ever witnessed or experienced? Removed. It's not weird. I'd really cry if I experience this. My grandma passed away a long time ago. Once, when I was feeling overwhelmed with work, a friend surprised me with a homemade meal and a heartfelt note, reminding me to take care of myself. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to me. Awesome friend. My first experience as a kid was when my parents would pack clothes, food and candy, and then we would travel to a very poor area in Mexico. As soon as we drove up, the kids would come running to the car and my father would hand them the candy and tell them to get their abuelo or grandfather. There were cardboard homes everywhere, and I remember a dirty canal nearby. An old man would come out of the refuse to greet my father and accept the meat he had hidden from border security underneath everything else. If anyone ever broke down in town or needed help, my parents were there to help. It left an impression on me as a young boy. I felt bad just asking for a toy when we went shopping. I was thinking about how those kids had nothing. Then my mother said, "Why don't you pick a toy out for yourself and give all the toys you don't play with anymore to them?" Present day, I have a local charity and help people with travel expenses due to cancer or kidney dialysis treatments. Thank you to my parents, whom I'm sure earned their wings. While waiting at an airport during a long delay, I saw a traveler offer their seat to an exhausted mother with a crying baby. What a good Samaritan. The other night, my area was flooded. I accidentally drove into about 4 feet of water, which thrusted my car into the river. I stood by on the hillside and watched my car luckily be pushed back onto the road, but still in about 2 feet of water. These two gentlemen who saw this happen and were stopped on the other side of the floodplain, jumped in my car, put it in neutral and pushed it out of the water. They waited with me till the police got there. One officer I went to high school with, we weren't close. He came up after hearing the 911 call from one of those men and hugged me for 10 minutes while I cried. My kid acts like the coolest kid in the room. The most competitive person I have ever seen, from Xbox to sports to Easter egg hunts. He loves winning. I watch him from my window playing basketball with the autistic kid across the street who has some struggles. My son throws games all the time just because it makes the kid so happy. I mentioned it once, he denied it ever happened. So I just watch and take comfort in knowing I didn't raise an asshole. We don't need to talk about it. Just keep doing you. You have raising a good person. I remember when a stranger paid for my groceries when I forgot my wallet. It really restored my faith in humanity. As a 10-year-old, I came out of the corner store to find my prized bicycle gone. An elderly Sikh gentleman I didn't know heard me crying and offered to buy me a new bike, and gave me his phone number. My grandpa and I found my bike close by, so I didn't take him up on it, but I'll never forget his random kindness to a stranger. None. People suck. Someone from Reddit stopped their bots from posting the same questions over and over again, like this one, for a little while. What bots? If you need help hunting bots, I am totally not a bot. When I was on the side of the road out of gas with my kids, it was like 5 in the morning. This lady stopped after working all night and on her way home to help. She drove me to get gas and grabbed my kids' breakfast. When I tried to reimburse her, she simply said, "Pass it on." Well, I always smile at people and they smile back sometimes. I didn't have enough money to pay for all the groceries that I was going to buy. So I started to tell the cashier I needed to put some items back. This lovely lady came out of nowhere and covered the rest of my bill. I started crying and thanking her. She politely told me, "Don't worry about it, I've been there myself." I got terrible food poisoning while traveling solo in Thailand. I'm not going to describe what happened. Suffice it to say, I was grateful for the style of bathroom my room had. which was basically a tile room with a toilet, a shower head and a drain in the floor. The sweet older lady who ran the hostel where I was staying took care of me, going out to buy me soup for my toot toot. A stranger becoming basically family after helping my mother so much in building our home after needing to move out. We were making little progress and it was difficult because she doesn't make a large income. He helped us renovate, build, paint, basically everything in that house. Half the things we have we wouldn't have had now if he hadn't shown up. Not everything is settled and my mom is still stressed, but we wouldn't be where we are now if he hadn't appeared at our doorstep one random day. I am forever grateful for the guy. I was early for an exam and just climbing a huge flight of stairs, looking through my bag for water, which I had forgotten, cause I was dying, and this totally random stranger behind me asks if I need water while she was late for her exam. After refusing multiple times, she insisted and made sure I had the water before leaving. I was going to the small shop next to my school and I was searching where my money went, and because I couldn't find it I almost wanted to say that never mind and that I'll put it back, until the lady behind me said I'll pay for her. I'll never forget her. Thank you for buying me my juice and my donut. This was a number of years ago. I was having a bad time. It had been my birthday a few days prior and a few people at work I considered friends had gone out the day before, and they didn't invite me. I was feeling left out. It had been a bad year in general even before that, though. I'm working with a newbie that shift and she found out it had been my birthday recently. She had heard that a few of our co-workers had hung out around the time, so she asked me if I had fun with my co-workers that night and I explained I wasn't there. I didn't really do anything for my birthday. We eventually talk about other things. I'm working with her again a week later. She came in with a small cake that she had bought me and a birthday card she had gotten a bunch of people to sign. I didn't know this newbie at all. The shift where I had the birthday conversation with her was the first time I had ever worked with her. The shift where she brings in the cake was the second. I'll always remember that. I was teaching in a low-income private school in Malwani. Due to their disadvantaged upbringings, many of my students went to bed hungry. But occasionally, they would make sure to either call me home for a quick snack and tea, or they would bring a delicacy to school in their tiffins. They would feel bad if I refused. When I asked one of my students why they did this, they told me they had no idea how else to express their love and gratitude. These were really poor kids. Yet they opted to give what they could, even when they didn't know if they'll get to have their next meal, and it was one of the sweetest things they could have done. A group of homeless people putting together their money to get a hotel room for an older homeless woman who had become ill during the winter. They had nothing, and some of them were addicts and alcoholics, but they gave what little they had to help her. I was 14 years old and saw an old man who I think was 80 years old carrying large bottles of water on his back. Suddenly, it fell from his hand. I ran to him to carry it with him. I struggled to carry it home, but I was happy because I imagined him as my deceased grandfather. When I was returning from war, I wasn't happy because I had no one to return to, but one of the children gave me slot me. He made me happy for a whole day. I was 7 when Sandy Hook happened, in December, and that Christmas Eve we were going to my great-grandma's house to visit. On our way there we stopped at Kmart and a lady gave me and my older brother money because of Sandy Hook. I was stuck behind a large church youth group at a Jersey Mike's. They paid for everyone behind them in line because of the long wait. The next day their church was destroyed by the Morocco tornado.